In the year 1870, the vast and rugged plains of the American West served as a backdrop for remarkable stories of bravery and survival. It was a time marked by uncertainty, as the nation was still reeling from the recent Civil War. The dusty trails stretched endlessly beneath the sun, where many sought their fortunes while others struggled to make sense of a rapidly changing world. During this era, the government had deemed it crucial to conduct a census. This task was not simply about counting heads, it was part of a larger effort to manage resources and understand population shifts in territories that were often conflicted and chaotic. Gathering accurate data was vital for military leaders to strategize effectively, especially in areas where tensions with Native American tribes were high. Every number recorded could sway decisions on troop placements and resource distribution. As census takers traversed these wild landscapes, they faced both treacherous terrain and lurking dangers. Their mission was important, but it came with significant risks. The call for accurate numbers echoed throughout the military ranks, where whispers of war secrets filled the air. Amidst this backdrop, our story unfolds, a ray of hope amid uncertainty, as a buffalo runner's courage transforms fate on those unforgiving plains. Among the vast plains, there was a buffalo runner known as Tawa. With his keen instincts and incredible speed, he was a master of the land. Tawa had spent years navigating the wilderness, learning its secrets from the whispering winds to the rustling grasses. His ability to track animals and find safe paths made him a valuable ally to those who knew how to seek his help. The people of his tribe respected him for his bravery and wisdom, often relying on him during difficult times. In contrast, there was the census taker named Samuel. Although he was not familiar with the wilds, Samuel was deeply committed to his mission. With a pencil tucked behind his ear and a notebook in hand, he traveled alone, determined to gather vital information for the government. He understood the importance of his work, every number he recorded could shape decisions that impacted countless lives. Despite the dangers that lurked in the shadows, Samuel pressed on, fueled by a sense of duty. These two characters came from different worlds but shared a common purpose. Their paths were destined to cross in an unexpected way, leading to an adventure that would test their courage and forge an unbreakable bond. Each had strengths that complemented the other, setting the stage for their remarkable journey together. Samuel's mission was more than just a duty, it was a matter of national importance. The government had commissioned the census to gather essential data about the population in the Western Territories, especially after the turmoil of the Civil War. With tensions running high between settlers and Native American tribes, understanding who lived where, and in what numbers, was crucial for military planning. The census would help identify potential allies and enemies, allowing commanders to make informed decisions about troop placements and resource allocations. As Samuel traveled from town to town, he encountered many different people, each with their own stories and struggles. He asked questions, filled out forms, and carefully noted every detail. The numbers he collected would help shape future military strategies and ensure that supplies reached those in need. However, Samuel understood that gathering this information came with risks. Not everyone welcomed government agents in their communities. He was determined to complete his task efficiently but also recognized the burden of responsibility on his shoulders. Each tally he wrote down represented lives affected by decisions made far away in Washington. This weight would push him forward on his journey, even as danger lurked around every corner in the vast wilderness of the West, where uncertainty reigned just as heavily as hope for a brighter future. As Samuel continued his journey, he ventured deeper into unfamiliar territory, hoping to reach a small town rumored to have settled families. However, the landscape became increasingly confusing, with towering hills and dense thickets obscuring his path. Overwhelmed by the vastness of the land, he lost track of his bearings and soon found himself surrounded by wilderness unfamiliar to him. At first, Samuel reassured himself, he had a map and a sense of direction. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky and shadows grew long, doubt crept in. The rustling of leaves and distant animal calls seemed both eerie and threatening. He stopped to consult his map, but it offered little guidance. The terrain he saw around him didn't match anything he had studied. Panic began to settle in when he heard the echo of galloping hooves in the distance. A group of cavalrymen patrolling the area came into view, and Samuel felt a surge of anxiety. He was not meant to be there, and they might see him as a threat or an enemy. Paralyzed by fear, he found himself in a precarious situation, trapped between the risk of confrontation and the deepening uncertainty of his surroundings. Just when he thought all hope was lost, a shadow moved swiftly through the trees. Tawa was not far behind. As Tawa emerged from the shadows of the trees, his presence was striking. He moved with a quiet confidence, his feet barely making a sound on the forest floor. With his sharp eyes, he quickly assessed the situation, noticing Samuel's anxious demeanor and the uncertainty that lingered in the air. Tawa understood the dangers of the land and recognized that the lost census taker was in a precarious position. Seeing Samuel's distress stirred something deep within Tawa, a sense of duty to protect those who were vulnerable and a belief that everyone deserved help in dire times. He had heard tales of the census takers, knowing that their work could impact lives in significant ways, and he felt an urge to assist. Even as a buffalo runner, he was more than just a tracker, he was a bridge between different worlds. Approaching cautiously, Tawa called out softly to Samuel, his voice steady yet soothing. "You're not alone," he said, ensuring that Samuel felt safe despite their differences. The census taker's eyes widened with relief as he turned to face his unexpected savior. In that moment, the weight of fear began to lift as trust started to form between them. Tawa gestured for Samuel to follow him, signaling their shared journey would soon begin, not just through the wilderness but toward understanding and friendship. As Tawa and Samuel began to navigate the wilderness together, the sound of galloping hooves echoed in the distance, growing louder as a group of cavalry officers approached. Tension filled the air as they emerged from the tree line, their uniforms gleaming in the fading light. The soldiers had strict orders to ensure that sensitive information related to the census remained confidential for national security reasons. The lead officer, a stern man with sharp eyes, quickly assessed the scene. He noticed Samuel's presence and frowned, realizing that this census taker was not only out of his element but also carrying potentially dangerous information. "You," he called out to Samuel, his tone leaving no room for argument. "What do you think you're doing here? You're not authorized to be in these parts without military approval." Samuel felt his heart race, he understood the gravity of the situation. "I'm just gathering data for the census," he replied hesitantly. The officer waved a hand dismissively. "Numbers like these can be secrets during wartime. You must keep your findings to yourself until we say otherwise." The words hung heavy in the air, making it clear that while Samuel had a mission, it was overshadowed by military concerns that demanded silence and caution. Tawa sensed Samuel's unease and stepped forward protectively, ready to defend his new friend if needed. The air was thick with tension as Tawa and Samuel stood before the cavalry officers. Samuel felt the weight of the military's demands pressing down on him, making it difficult to express his thoughts. He wanted to explain the importance of his mission and how each piece of data could save lives, but the stern looks from the soldiers silenced his voice. He swallowed hard, realizing that any word he uttered might be misconstrued as a threat or an act of defiance. On the other hand, Tawa faced his own challenges in communication. Although he was fluent in his native tongue, he struggled to find the right words in English to convey his concerns for Samuel's safety. He understood the gravity of the situation but felt powerless as he watched Samuel grapple with fear and uncertainty. Tawa wanted to reassure both Samuel and the soldiers that they meant no harm, but the pressure of military authority loomed over them. As they stood there, each man caught between duty and friendship, they exchanged glances filled with understanding. Tawa's protective instinct surged within him while Samuel's anxiety grew. Together, they needed to navigate this delicate moment without provoking the officers further. It was a tightrope walk of silence and unsaid promises, hoping that their bond would help them find a way through this precarious encounter. Once the cavalry officers moved on, Tawa and Samuel knew they had to act quickly. The tension from their encounter lingered, but now they were focused on navigating through enemy territory. Tawa took the lead, his instincts guiding them through the dense thickets and rocky paths. He pointed out subtle signs of danger, a broken branch here, a fresh set of tracks there, teaching Samuel how to read the land like an open book. Using hand signals to maintain silence, Tawa indicated when to move and when to crouch low. Samuel followed closely, trusting Tawa's knowledge of the wilderness. They worked seamlessly together, with Tawa's speed complementing Samuel's determination. Whenever they faced obstacles, like a steep ravine or a rushing stream, Tawa would scout ahead while Samuel caught his breath. At one point, they heard distant voices approaching. Tawa quickly gestured for Samuel to hide behind a cluster of bushes. Heart pounding, Samuel pressed himself against the cool earth, hoping they wouldn't be discovered. Tawa crouched beside him, ensuring they remained invisible until the danger passed. Through teamwork and trust, they managed to evade patrols and navigate treacherous paths that would have overwhelmed either of them alone. With each challenge overcome, their bond grew stronger, blending their skills and backgrounds into a united front against uncertainty in this wild land. As they took a moment to rest beneath the shade of a sprawling tree, Tawa and Samuel began to share stories about their lives, creating a sense of camaraderie amid the challenges they faced. Tawa recounted tales of his youth spent running with his tribe across the plains, where he learned to respect the land and its creatures. He spoke of the thrill of racing the buffalo and how each encounter taught him valuable lessons about patience and observation. Samuel listened intently, sharing his own experiences of growing up in a bustling town far from these wild lands. He described the crowded streets and the lively markets, painting a picture of a world filled with noise and activity that felt worlds away from where they were now. As he spoke about his mission, he revealed his dreams of making a difference through data collection, hoping to improve lives through accurate information. With each story, their laughter began to break through the tension that had previously surrounded them. They discovered shared values, a desire for understanding and connection with others. In that moment, under the vast sky, they began to see each other not just as a buffalo runner and a census taker but as brothers in arms facing adversity together. The bond they formed would be invaluable as they continued their journey through uncertainty, reinforcing their resolve to protect one another. As dusk fell, Tawa and Samuel knew it was time to make their final push toward safety. With the fading light giving them cover, Tawa led Samuel away from the main paths and toward a narrow canyon he had used before to evade pursuers. The rocky terrain would be challenging, but it offered them a better chance to remain unseen. Moving swiftly but quietly, they navigated the rugged landscape, Tawa's instincts guiding them through twists and turns. It wasn't long before they heard the distant shouts of cavalrymen searching for them, their voices echoing through the canyon. Samuel's heart raced as fear gripped him again. He couldn't afford to be caught now when he was so close to completing his mission. Just then, Tawa spotted a small ledge high above and gestured for Samuel to follow him up. Using his strength and agility, Tawa climbed first, then helped pull Samuel up to safety. From their vantage point, they could see the soldiers moving below, searching in vain for signs of their escape. As the cavalrymen drew nearer without noticing them above, Tawa whispered words of encouragement to Samuel. "We'll wait until they pass," he said confidently. After several tense moments, the soldiers moved on, giving Tawa and Samuel the chance to slip down and head back into the shadows of the wilderness. With renewed determination and newfound trust in each other, they pushed forward toward the next settlement, ready for Samuel to continue gathering the crucial data needed for his mission. As Tawa and Samuel continued their journey toward the next settlement, they reflected on the challenges they had faced and how their teamwork had made all the difference. Initially, they were two unlikely allies, a buffalo runner steeped in the ways of the land and a census taker unfamiliar with such wild territories. Yet, through trust and shared experiences, they forged a bond that transcended their differences. With each obstacle they overcame together, they learned valuable lessons about reliance and bravery. Tawa's knowledge of the wilderness complemented Samuel's determination to fulfill his mission, showing them both that success could arise from cooperation, even in the most dangerous situations. They realized that their unique skills intertwined seamlessly. Tawa's instinct for survival paired with Samuel's commitment to gathering crucial information created a formidable team. Moving forward, they carried the understanding that true strength lies not only in individual prowess but also in the willingness to support one another. Samuel knew that he could count on Tawa's instincts while navigating uncertain paths, while Tawa found comfort in Samuel's vision for a better future through accurate census data. Together, they embraced the reality that friendship often flourishes amidst adversity. With their newfound camaraderie guiding their steps, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead, fueled by trust and shared purpose as they continued to make their way through an unpredictable world.